Okay, I want to start today with a really high-stakes question.
Hmm.
It's one that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi novel, but based on the reports we're looking at, it's it's happening right now.
It is. And it's a scenario that honestly makes you question the security of a very specific, very high status career.
We are talking about the detectives of the financial world, forensic accountants.
Right.
Now, when I picture this job, I have this very specific image in my head.
I think I know where you're going. Dimly lit room, sleeves rolled up.
Exactly. Hunching over a desk, analyzing thousands of rows of spreadsheets, looking for that one single missing dollar.
The classic CSI Wall Street vibe. Highlighters, red pens, stacks and stacks of paper.
Yes. But the question our sources are wrestling with today is, how likely is it that those detectives are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence?
It's a huge question.
Because, let's be honest, if there's one thing AI is better at than us, it's math, it's patterns, it's staring at data without getting tired.
And if you just look at the headlines or, the raw capabilities of the tech, you might think the answer is immediately.
Right, because technically, aren't we? Aren't we already there? Don't we have machines that can scan millions of transactions in, what, seconds?
We do. Imagine a world where fraud isn't detected by a weary auditor after 3 weeks of coffee and late nights.
Uh,
Imagine it's detected by a machine in literally 3 seconds. Technically, the tools are here.
So, case closed. The robots win, the accountants go home, and we can just wrap up this deep dive in 5 minutes.
Well, that's the hook. That's where this whole thing gets fascinating.
Okay.
Because if you look at the source material we're diving into, reports from McKinsey, the World Economic Forum, some really deep legal analysis, the answer is a paradox.
A paradox.
Yes, technically AI can do maybe 80% of the work a forensic accountant does, but institutionally, in the eyes of the law, the courts, it's almost entirely forbidden from actually taking over the job.
Okay, wait, let's unpack that. Because usually when we talk about AI taking jobs, it's because it's cheaper and faster. You're saying it's cheaper, faster, and smarter. But the system just says no.
Precisely. And the reasons why. They're not just about preserving jobs or unions. They go to the fundamental way our civilization defines truth and justice.
Wow.
It turns out there's a massive difference between being mathematically correct and being legally right.
I love that. So we're starting with spreadsheets and we're ending up at the philosophy of justice.
That's the journey.
So give us the roadmap. How are we going to get there?
We'll look at it in 3 layers.
Yeah.
First, what's already gone, the heavy lifting AI has just completely conquered.
Okay.
Then we'll look at the human fortress, the specific types of judgment that machines can't replicate. And finally, the really interesting part, the epistemic barrier.
The epistemic barrier. That sounds ominous.
It's the reason a court will not let an AI testify, even if it's right.
Even if it's right.
Even if it's right.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's start with the stuff that's disappearing. You mentioned something like 60 to 70% of the labor hours. That sounds huge.
It is huge, and it's mostly what we call the drudgery.
Right.
Think about what a forensic accountant used to do. They were literally searching for needles in haystacks.
The manual review. The grunt work.
Exactly. That is effectively dead. We've moved from that to something called transaction scanning.
Okay, so what's the difference? What makes that special compared to, say, just an Excel macro?
A rule-based system like that Excel macro is simple. It's flag any transaction over $10,000 to the Cayman Islands.
It does exactly what you tell it to.
Right. But AI now uses unsupervised machine learning. It looks at millions of entries to flag anomalies based on context.
So it learns what normal looks like first.
Exactly. It looks at 5 years of data and says, it's weird that this employee approves invoices at 3 a.m. on Sundays only for this one vendor, and the amounts always end in 99 cents.
A human would miss that. It's just buried in the noise.
A human would almost never see that. The machine never misses it.
That's unnerving. And the sources also mentioned something about link analysis.
Yes, this is Graph AI. It maps relationships. Think about those detective movies with the cork board.
The conspiracy board with all the photos and the red string.
That's it. Graph AI does that digitally, but with millions of entities. It sees Company A sent money to Company B.
And Company B's director is the brother-in-law of Company A's CFO.
Bingo. It builds those massive webs of connection instantly.
And to do that manually, searching public records, finding marriage certificates, cross-referencing addresses, that must have taken weeks.
Or months. Now it's a button click. And it goes even deeper with NLP, natural language processing.
It's reading the emails.
It's reading the emails, the invoices, the contracts, even the Slack messages. It's finding hidden relationships and conflicts of interest in the text, not just the numbers.
And it can do sentiment analysis, like it can tell if someone's angry.
Exactly. Why does the tone of emails between the CFO and the auditor suddenly get aggressive 3 days before the quarterly report?
Or why did they suddenly say, let's take this offline?
The AI flags that shift in tone as a risk factor.
So, hearing all of that, it really does sound like the entire job is disappearing. If the AI finds the needle, maps the relationship, reads the emails, and flags the tone, what is the human even doing?
This is the big shift. The job is going from humans searching for needles to humans validating what the machine found. The expert isn't the miner anymore, they're the jeweler.
I like that analogy, the miner versus the jeweler.
They don't dig for the gold, they decide if it's real. Because here's the problem with AI. It kicks out a lot of false positives. It sees a pattern, but it doesn't get the story.
So, validating the needle. But surely validation doesn't take as much time as the search did.
It doesn't, and that's why the labor hours are dropping. But, and this is the key from our sources, while maybe 70% of the hours might go, only about 20 to 30% of the actual roles will be eliminated.
Wait, how does that math work? If 70% of the work is gone, why are 80% of the people still there?
Because the remaining 30% of the work, the judgment and the strategy, that's the only part that actually matters to the client. The data isn't evidence until a human touches it.
Okay, so let's talk about this human fortress. The sources list 3 specific types of judgment: materiality, intent, and causality.
Right. So let's start with materiality. Imagine the AI flags 10,000 weird transactions.
Okay.
Legally, you cannot walk into court and say, Your Honor, here are 10,000 weird things.
The judge would throw you out of the courtroom.
Exactly. It's just noise. A human has to look at that list and decide which 200 of these actually matter legally, which ones support our theory of the case.
That makes sense. It's a filter that AI struggles with because weird is statistical, but relevant is a legal concept.
And then there's intent. This one feels big. It's the biggest. In law, there's this concept, mens rea, the guilty mind. A court cares deeply about whether an accounting error was a systematic fraud or just a sloppy process.
Right. Did I steal the money, or am I just really bad at math?
Precisely. AI sees correlation. It sees the numbers are wrong. But only a human can look at the context, the emails, the pressure from management, and argue this was intentional.
You can't code a guilty mind detector.
You can't, because guilt is a human internal state. It's not just about the action, it's about why you did it.
Okay, and the third one was causality.
Right, which is basically, did this bad behavior actually cause the damages?
Can you give me a concrete example of that?
Sure. Imagine a CEO cooks the books to make the company look profitable. 6 months later, the stock price crashes 20%. The shareholders sue.
Seems open and shut. The fraud caused their loss.
But what if the whole market crashed 20% that same week because of a global recession or a pandemic?
Right.
Did the fraud cause the loss, or did the market? Separating those two things, correlation versus causation, that's a high-level logical argument.
It's counterfactual reasoning. What would have happened if?
And AI is famously terrible at what-if scenarios. So the AI provides the raw material, the what, but the human provides the why and the how.
And the so what? Which I guess brings us to litigation strategy. The sources call this the hidden core of the job.
The hidden core. Yeah, most people think forensic accountants just count damages, but they actually help lawyers choose the theory of the case.
Like, are we pursuing embezzlement? Or is it a breach of fiduciary duty?
Exactly, and those sound like legal distinctions, but they're deeply intertwined with the accounting.
How so?
Different theories need different evidence, different calculations, take damages. Do you ask for lost profits or unjust enrichment, the money they made off you, or maybe opportunity cost?
And the AI can calculate any of those numbers.
It can calculate all of them instantly, but it cannot tell you which one is most likely to win in front of a jury in the Southern District of New York. That's strategy. That's game theory.
Okay, I'm with you. The human is the general, the AI is the scout. But, and here's where I want to push back a bit, because the sources raise this really provocative question.
Go on.
Couldn't we just train an AI to be the general? Couldn't we feed it every court case in history and say, hey, based on these 50,000 previous trials, choosing lost profits has an 82% success rate? Why can't we automate the strategy?
And now we have arrived at the twist.
I have.
Yes. Because you're absolutely right. Technically, you could. You could automate legal relevance, use predictive models. All of that exists. The barrier is not capability.
Then what is it?
It's what the sources call epistemic legitimacy.
Epistemic legitimacy. Okay, that is a $5 phrase. You're going to have to translate that for us.
It comes from epistemology, the philosophy of knowledge. It's about how do we know what we know? And maybe more importantly, is that way of knowing acceptable to society?
Oh, yeah?
The courts do not operate on best prediction. They operate on socially acceptable reasoning.
You mean example?
Okay. Imagine an AI expert witness takes the stand. It says, this person is guilty of fraud. The defense asks, why? And the AI says, because my internal weighting of 40 million variables indicates a 99.2% probability.
That sounds pretty convincing.
Is it true? Probably. Is it acceptable in court? Absolutely not.
Why not? Because you can't check the math.
Because of what they call the explainability constraint. Courts need step-by-step human interpretable logic. If the AI is a black box, if you can't trace exactly how it got from A to B,
Because it's some neural network that no human can actually parse.
it fails. It fails what's called epistemic transparency. A judge needs to understand the reasoning, not just trust the output.
Right. And then you've got the accountability problem.
Oh, this is huge. Law is built on personal responsibility. If a human expert witness lies, what happens?
They get sued. They lose their license. They could go to jail for perjury.
Right. There is skin in the game. You can sanction a human. You cannot sanction an algorithm. Who is liable if the AI ruins someone's life with a bad calculation? The coder. The user.
It's like the self-driving car problem, but for justice. If the car crashes, who do you blame?
Precisely. And the third constraint is what they call adversarial symmetry.
That sounds intense.
It just means fairness. The system assumes both sides can inspect the other's reasoning. If I use a proprietary AI model that you can't see inside, you can't defend yourself against it. It breaks the whole system.
So we've basically banned AI from the witness stand.
We have.
Yeah.
And that leads to this fascinating idea of the cross-examination problem.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this. I'm just picturing a lawyer yelling at a laptop. Did you or did you not process that data?
It sounds funny, but think about what a cross-examination really is. It's not just fact-checking. It's a test of credibility, and it's a test of epistemic humility.
Epistemic humility.
Yeah, the ability to admit what you don't know. A human expert has to be able to say, I am 80% sure, but here are the limitations of my analysis. Here's where I might be wrong.
And an AI doesn't do that.
AI models are terrible at knowing what they don't know. They hallucinate confidence.
Right.
They'll state a complete fabrication with the exact same certainty as a proven fact.
Right. They lie fluently.
Exactly. So to cross-examine an AI, you'd have to expose its internal states, justify its feature weights, explain all the biases in its training data.
Which, again, nobody in the courtroom is qualified to even understand.
Right. And even if they were, the AI can't defend itself in a human way. Courts don't ask what is most likely true. They ask, what can a human reasonably defend under oath?
That is a profound distinction.
They're two completely different standards of truth.
So, given all these barriers, judgment, explainability, accountability, what does the future actually look like for these people? You said the profession isn't dying, it's just changing.
It's changing dramatically. The sources describe the survivor forensic accountant. They're not really just accountants anymore. They're AI supervisors, evidence interpreters, and risk storytellers.
Risk storytellers. I like that title.
It fits. Their job is to take the massive output of the machine and weave it into a narrative that a jury can understand and a judge will accept. They're translators.
But the whole hierarchy of the profession must be changing.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. The pyramid is flipping. The juniors, the people who used to do the grunt work, the data entry, that role is vaporized.
That seems like a massive problem. How do you even break into the industry?
That is the crisis the industry faces. If you remove the entry-level work, how do you train the next generation? But for the people who are there, the seniors, the partners, they become incredibly high value. The sources suggest 20 to 40% of them will testify regularly. They'll be paid more to do less math and more high-stakes reasoning.
So it's fewer people, paid more, doing the thinking parts.
Yep. AI removes the drudgery, but it removes almost none of the power. The power lies in the signature on the affidavit, not the calculation in the spreadsheet.
It really highlights that economic shift we're seeing everywhere. The middle is getting hollowed out. You're either telling the robot what to do or, well...
You're either the architect or you're redundant.
Yeah, so to bring this all together, we have a technology that can technically do the job. but a civilization that, for now, refuses to let it.
That's the perfect summary. We are protected not by our skill, but by our laws.
How long does that protection last?
The forecast in the data is about 20 to 30 years.
That's a lifetime in tech years.
It is. But the delay isn't because we need faster chips. It's because we need new laws, new ethics, and public trust. We're waiting for machine jurisprudence, a legal system that knows how to handle non-human truth.
So it really is a choice.
It's a civilization design choice. And I want to leave you with this one last thought from the sources that really stuck with me.
Go for it.
We always ask, will AI replace us? But in this case, the barrier isn't that the AI can't do it. It's that we have decided, as a society, that we don't want it to. If the courts tomorrow decided to accept black box truth, if they decided they cared more about accuracy than accountability, 90% of this profession would vanish. Instantly.
Half a finger.
Instantly. The only thing keeping these professionals employed is our human insistence on human-centered justice. We're protected by our own need to see a face on the witness stand.
That is both comforting and absolutely terrifying. We are the firewall.
We are the firewall.
Well, on that note, next time you see a forensic accountant, maybe give them a nod. They are the guardians of the human element in a world of algorithmic truth. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
See you next time.